know, I made a post the other day on IG and Twitter, posting my draft, and it said everybody into a frenzy. What are you doing? That's crazy. That makes no sense. Why would you draft that player that high? Why would you draft that position that high? That makes absolutely no sense. What are you doing? So let me explain. Since it don't make no sense to you, let me explain it. Let me break it down. Since it don't make no sense, let me explain it. Let me break it down for you. What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic, and today we're gonna talk some football, Houston Texans football. Today we're gonna break down my mock draft. I'm gonna let y'all know exactly who I have the Houston Texans taking in this upcoming draft. And let me break down the players and break down the picks so you understand exactly why I take this player at this position at this point in the draft. We're gonna break it down. Before we get in there, like I've been telling you before, if you're liking the content, make sure you're liking the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you comment on all the videos. Make sure you're sharing all the videos on all social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. Any type of social media platform you use, make sure you share it on the same social media platforms. Also, follow me on social media as well. The links in the description below. This all came from a conversation from my social media, both IG and Twitter. So, hey, if you're not following me, the link in the description below. Follow you on social media. You don't know what you're missing. Follow you on social media. Like I said, like the channel, subscribe to the channel. Let's get the channel growing and growing and growing. I really, really appreciate it. Everything y'all do. Make sure y'all comment. Make sure y'all share. And let's get the channel growing and growing. Now, I want to give a disclaimer. I'm only doing the first 4 rounds. I'm only doing the first 4 rounds. One of the reasons why is because the further you get into the draft, the deeper you get into the draft, the less likely of your picks being accurate, because somebody who you might think is a 4th rounder, or somebody you might think is a 5th rounder, gets drafted in the 3rd round or something like that. Or somebody you might think is a 7th rounder a 6th rounder gets drafted in the 4th or the 5th. Like, things are always changing. So the deeper you get into the draft, the less likely that those picks are actually accurate. So let's just to keep it simple. And like I said, the first 4 rounds of the Houston Texans, because they have multiple picks, or 6 picks, that's still a good sample size, a good amount of players, and they also high picks as well. So let's just do them. Let's just do the first 4 rounds. So it's not all 7 rounds and nothing like this. Not that deep of a draft. It's only the first 4 rounds. So we're gonna just talk about that. So just bear with me now. So with the first pick, the Houston Texans select quarterback Bryce Young out of Alabama. We already know what's up. We already know Bryce Young. Bryce Young, in my opinion, is the best quarterback in this upcoming draft. I was very high on CJ ever since the national championship game, because what I seen in Bryce Young in the national championship game against Georgia kind of gave me a little bit So I'm like, let me rock a little bit. I started watching some tape of CJ over the summer. I'm like, okay, yeah, CJ is going to be the guy. But as the season got into it, and the further you got into the season, Bryce just overshadowed and was just playing best. Not that much talent in Alabama like normally it is. He's the best player in this draft. I think. Well, people might say it's Will Anderson. People might say it's Jalen Carter, and I understand that. But I think you got a 10 with the quarterback, and I think Bryce Young is the best quarterback in this draft. But if you say that Will Anderson or CJ, Will Anderson or Jalen Carter are the best players in the draft, I'm not going to argue with that. I understand exactly, especially pound for pound. But Bryce, I mean, there's nothing he can't do. The biggest knock on Bryce is going to be his size. As of right now, they have him listed at 6 foot, 194 pounds. I know some people might believe he's a little bit shorter than that. Y'all might say, oh, he's this, whatever. We don't really know. We won't know officially until the combine. But I don't care about him being short. I look at what I see on tape, and he's the best quarterback. And if you would insert Bryce Young into this Texans situation right now, and you play the season, the Texans were 112-1. I believe the Texans will be 7-7, because I think they will beat Tennessee. I beat the Indianapolis Colts. You lost 2 games this year to Tennessee and Chicago, where quarterback threw for under 100 yards. So I think you win both of those games. You beat Jacksonville, obviously. In the last 3 weeks, the way the defense and the special teams have been playing, you would have walked away with those wins if you had a better offense, a more couple offense. I know people nothing was wrong with Davis Mills last week against the Chiefs. Davis Mills would have been able to, Bryce would have been able to keep that ship afloat. And the same thing against Dallas the week before. After you get that pick in the red zone, you're in the red zone, you'll be able to punch it in and score a touchdown. So I believe that Bryce Young, you drop Bryce Young into this team as of right now, as it is right now, coaching staff, everything as it is right now, I believe the Texans are 7-7. And with 3 games to go against the division, and you've already beaten the Colts, the Titans, and the Jags with those 3 opponents left, you'll be able to control your own destiny to win the division, in my personal opinion. So, That's why I think you go with Bryce Young. Now, this is the pick that people was tripping on. The second pick of the first round, as of right now, is the 12th pick, the pick we got from the Deshaun Watson trade. I got the Houston Texans taking Michael Mayer, tight end out of Notre Dame. Michael Mayer is 6'4", 249 pounds, and they call him Baby Gronk for a reason. The dude is an absolute baller. And I think this is where everybody started getting confused. Why would you take a tight end that high? Well, we got other pressing needs, woo, woo, woo. This is like I just said. Depending on where that draft pick falls. If you're not in the upper echelon, that you're able to take a Will Anderson or a Jalen Carter or a Miles Murphy. Cause I think Brian Brees look like he's going back to college, maybe going back to Clemson. If you're not in a position to take one of those guys, and I don't think that pick is going to be that high because I think Cleveland's going to win a couple games, or as of right now, they're slided at 12. I think they'll probably end up between 15 and 10. So I don't think they're going to get inside the top 10. Maybe I think actually between 15 and 11. I don't even think they're going to get even at 10, let alone get inside the top 10. I think you should add a playmaker. Outside of Quentin Johnson, I don't think there's a number one receiver in this class, even though I really like Josh Downs. I don't think Josh Downs is the number one receiver, and plus I think it's a guy you can get later on in the draft. Especially since Keyshawn Butte went back. I think next year's going to be a better year for you to go out there and get receivers because, like I said, Keyshawn Butte is going back in the draft. You're going to have the kid out of Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr. So I think next year will be a better year to go get a receiver in the first round. Tight ends are very good security blankets for mobile quarterbacks. I mean, the way Bryce Young runs around, moves around. Like I said, I didn't get to mention this when I was talking about Bryce Young. But it was a play against Tennessee where he was running. I talk about this play all the time because it's just something that really sticks out to me. He's running, he's scrambling, he stops on a dime and then straightens back up in perfect quarterback stance and delivers a ball. I think it was like 14 yards to get to connect for the first down. When you have a tight end running out to the flat, that's more beneficial for you if you have a dynamic tight end. And you look at Patrick Mahomes, you look at with Kelsey, you look at how other quarterbacks use their tight ends. And again, if you insert Bryce Young and Michael Mayer onto this team, and especially the last 3 weeks, Jalen Carter or Miles Murphy are the best edge rusher who you Forsky out of Notre Dame, or Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. I like those guys. You still ain't winning those. You insert them on their defense. You still don't beat Cleveland, the Dallas Cowboys, or the Chiefs, because I don't see outside of the defense making game. I mean, actually, Dallas, in the game against Dallas, you got the game, which should have been the game winning turnover. So outside of scoring on defense, that'd be the only thing. If they would have scored on defense or scored on special teams, I don't see how much better the defense could have played, because the defense gave you every opportunity in the last 3 weeks to win those games, and your offense ain't bring it home. So I think you need to bolster up this offense. You need to give your quarterback a weapon. Again, now if this pick ends up somehow falls into the top, gets inside the top 10, and Miles Murphy or Jalen Carter or Willie Anderson fall, or they end up falling to 11 or 12 with the Cleveland Brown pick is it, and I have no problem take that player. But as of right now, I don't see that happening. I think you should go out there and get the tight end. Go out there and make the job easier for Bryce Young. You worried about Bryce Young's size. You worried about him being skinny, whatever. Give him a security blanket. Give him somebody he could dump the ball off to. You got Dameon Pierce. You can hand the ball to in the backfield. Possibly dump the ball off to Dameon Pierce as well. But you give him a tight end when he's running around doing his thing, and there's nobody covered down. Everybody's covered downfield. He could dump the ball to the flats and give it to his tight end. Give it to a playmaking tight end. Look at what Gronk and them did for Tom Brady. You give it to a playmaker tight end, somebody who's a mismatch on defense, a mismatch in the red zone. That's something that you can't. We struggle in red zone, even with Dameon Pierce. Part of the reason why, because we didn't give the ball to Dameon Pierce. But I think if you add Michael Mayer, you don't struggle in the red zone next year. If you have Bryce Young, Michael Mayer, and Dameon Pierce on your team next year, in your backfield, and on your team, on your offensive squad, you do not struggle in the red zone. I don't see there's a way that you could, with those three guys by themselves, I don't see the way you could struggle in the red zone. And so when your defense gives you opportunities, you put up points if you do that. And, hey, you got to put points to win the game. So that's what I think that they should do with their second first round pick. With their first pick in the second round, I think they should take B.J. Ujulari, edge rusher at LSU. He's 6'3", 245 pounds, and just a dog. Just a straight up dog. Shout out to that boy Wise. Cause I know Wise is watching, cause I know Wise is sitting up there saying, "Yes, yes." He's a him and Wink straight up dogs. BJ Ujulari is a straight up dog. He's a physical mismatch, and we're gonna get to it in a minute because I was going back and forth on, do we need a defensive tackle? Because we got two offensive players, so we go on defense. We need to get defensive tackle because you got probably Ika and you have some other DTs that's possibly right there. But I think you should go after edge rusher because you pair him up possibly, and that helps Jonathan Gannard. I think Jonathan Gannard has some pass rushing skills. Like I said, I think he's a very natural pass rusher. And he had the injury concerns this year. I think if you add him, I think you'll be able to get to the quarterback. In the way Trevor Lawrence and the Jags is humming offensively, you're going to need to get to the quarterback. So go ahead, be able to put pressure and apply pressure on the quarterback. Go out there and get that edge rusher. Now, Texas' next pick ain't to the third round, and I think they should go out there and get offensive lineman Andrew Voorhees out of UCLA. He's 6'6", 325 pounds. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's been starting since he was a freshman, and I think he's moved around on the offensive line from guard to center or from left guard to right guard. So I think he's played both guard positions, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe he's guard and tackle. I know he moved around the offensive line. You definitely gonna need some offensive line, especially in the interior. I think you have your tackles, to be honest, in Larry Tunsil and Tyus Howard. I know Tyus Howard gets a lot of slack. A lot of people don't like Tyus Howard, but I do think you keep Tyus Howard and Larry Tunsil. Larry Tunsil is one of the best left tackles in the NFL, even though he's got a whole bunch of false starts, especially in the pass pro. He's one of the best offensive left tackles in the NFL. Kenyon Green, he's a first round pick last year, has some ups and downs, but I think he has a lot. He's shown you a lot that if you give him another guard or a center or whatever, I think you help him out as well. And I think about him, about Voorhees, not only because he has the name Voorhees, but he's played with a dynamic of a Heisman quarterback, another dynamic running around quarterback, and Caleb Williams, a mobile quarterback. Let me put it like that: a mobile quarterback and Caleb Williams. And sometimes when offensive linemen are not used to mobile quarterbacks, and their quarterbacks are being moved around, that's when you get linemen downfield and all these other calls because they're not used to. I think Larry Tunsil said that when he first got to Houston with Deshaun Watson, it took him a while to get accustomed. I think he had some early flags, if I'm not mistaken. He said it took him a while to get accustomed because in not Tennessee, but in Miami, he was blocking for Ryan Tannehill. He was blocking for Ryan Tannehill in Miami, or when Tannehill was down, it was Moore and Jay Cutler that one year. So he wasn't used to blocking for mobile quarterbacks. He's used to his quarterback being in one spot. So, when Deshaun was moving around doing what Deshaun did, it kind of caught him off guard, and he was doing other things. You get your offensive lineman who's used to a mobile quarterback, so it's a little bit easier transition. Just small things that we don't talk about, but those things are just little samples, little small nuances that will help further along both your quarterback and your offensive lineman. I think again, you do not want to make the same mistakes you made with Deshaun by not having weapons and not having offensive linemen. Even though Deshaun did have Will Fuller, even though Deshaun Watson did have Hopkins, and then you went and got Kenny Stills and things like that. But he never had dynamic tight ends. Back to the whole Michael Mayer thing. So I think you need to go out there and you put things in place for him to be successful. If you're drafting a quarterback number 1 overall or in the first round period, but especially number 1 overall, you do everything in your power to make him comfortable and make him successful. From putting pieces around him, systems, anything. You make sure that he's successful and you do exactly what you need to do to further along his development. Now, with the other pick, in the third round, I think the Houston Texans take Jacqueline Roy, defensive tackle out of LSU. The guy is 6'3", 315 pounds. He's used to working with Ojulari, who I had you take in the second round, and a guy who could just eat up a block and keep his linebackers clean, and also get a little bit pressure up the middle from an interior defensive lineman. I think you could help slow down the run. That's something that's very, very crucial. Now, I know there's other DTs out there, but you don't got to go out. I mean, unless you're talking about Jalen Carter or Ika, I think he Roy is the next best guy up there because, like I said, I think Breezy's going back to school, and I really like what I seen now Roy. And like I said, you have him pairing him up with Roy. You pairing him up with um with BJ Ujulari. I think would do pay off huge dividends for the Houston Texans defense. And with the last pick, the fourth round pick, I have the Houston Texans taking L.J. Skinner, safety out of Boise State. It's a 6'4", 220-pound safety. Now, the Houston Texans secondary this year, outside of the running game and Damian Pierce have been the bright spots. Secondary played phenomenal, even though we've been playing in bad coverage, and especially even after both Stingley and Nelson went down, because Nelson, the free agent pickup you picked up last year, played very, very well. After you picked up Nelson, what you seen out of Smith, what you seen out of King stepping in, I like what you see. I like what I see. Like exactly what I see out of Damian Pierce. I'm not Damian Pierce, but out of Jalen Petrie. But I think you need to upgrade that other safety spot. Y'all know me. I'm always talking about taking cornerbacks and taking DBs every single draft. Every single draft, no matter who you have back there, you need to take a DB. And instead of taking the corner, I think you can take L.J. Skinner. I think you have to. I don't think you need to upgrade cornerback, but you definitely need to upgrade the other safety position. So you have L.J. Skinner paired up with Jalen Petrie, and then you have Derek Stingley. On the opposite side, you have Nelson. Then you have King in the slot, and then you have Smith in the you have Smith as a rotating corner to help out. I think the secondary is very, very dangerous. I believe the secondary is very, very dangerous. I mean, this secondary, L.J. Skinner can come up and hit. He's a big, strong safety, and pair him up with somebody like Petrie, and I usually have Petrie go back there and just play center field and go out there and get them picks. I think, and make the hard hits that he does, I think you'll be having your defense trending in the very, very right direction. So like I said, you take Bryce Young number one. Yes, you take Michael Mayer. I believe Michael Mayer. I believe, unless depending on who falls at that pick. But as if where that pick is slided, I don't think nobody's really gonna fall there. I think you take a tight end. I know you can go out there and you can get Kincaid later on, and I like Kincaid. I even like Kraft out of I even like Kraft, but I think what you do, you get the best tight end. You get the absolute best tight end. I don't. Outside of, like I said, outside of Quinn Johnson at TCU, I don't see another receiver I would take. I know you got Addison out there. I know you got Enigma. I'm not really. I don't think you gotta get them. Like I said, I think next year when you can get Keyshawn Butte, when you can get Marvin Harrison Jr., I think that's better for you to go out there and get a receiver in next year's draft, and you have multiple first round picks in next year's draft. And I can see the Texans even taking that 12th pick and moving back. And I think if you move back, I think you still can end up getting Michael Mayer later on in the draft. So I think that's the best decision for the Houston Texans is to go that route. I know people like tight end, that's too high to take a tight end. I don't believe it is, because as a tight end can do multiple things. They can catch, they can block, do a whole bunch of other things. Get your quarterback out of a jam. So I believe that's not a waste to pick. Obviously, you gotta go defense, if you do that, you gotta go defense in the second round. Go after Ujulari. Then you gotta go get you some offensive line help. Make sure you secure the offensive line, because you don't want to make the mistakes that the Texans made with Deshaun Watson and what we made with David Carr, or what the Colts made with Andrew Luck. You get protection up front. And I also think you also bolster up this defense again and help out that secondary and get L.J. Skinner out of Boise State. So, like I said, those are who I have the Texans taking in the first 4 rounds. I know a lot of y'all probably disagree with me. That's cool and all, but that's who I believe the Texans should take with the first 4 picks, with the first picks in the first 4 rounds of the Houston Texans. That's what I believe the Houston Texans should select. And I think if you do things like that, I think the Texans probably are. And I think the Texans could be in contention to get the AFC South as a rookie. I think Bryce Young is that good. And to be honest, even though the Texans are probably the worst team in football, they're not that far away from the AFC South. They're really not. I don't believe the AFC South is the worst division in football. I think the NFC East is the worst division in football. Not the NFC East, the NFC South. I'm sorry, the NFC South with the Broncos, but the big Buccaneers and Atlanta. And I think they're the worst division in the NFL. But the AFC South is not that far along. We damn sure the worst division in the AFC. So I think the Houston Texans could make some noise if they make the right selections. Like, subscribe if you haven't, comment below if you haven't, click that bell, get more videos. I holla.